Biomutant is the ambitious new open-world RPG coming to consoles and PC May 25th. You're not alone if you've seen this trailer and thought, man, that looks really cool, but what even is this? To be honest, it's quite hard to pin down. Even the devs have a difficult time expressing their post-apocalyptic, fuzzy animal, kung fu fighting vision. The game seems to have dozens of inspirations it's trying to draw from all at once. We've never been more confused on what to expect from a game, and it will no doubt be difficult to balance so many elements at once. Can Experiment 101 pull it off? Let's find out. Biomutant is dripping with style. From the fuzzy animals to the kung fu combat and vibrant post-apocalyptic open world, it has created something that's distinctly its own. The open world has clear inspirations from Breath of the Wild's sandbox design. After the first 30 minutes, players are unleashed to go anywhere and do anything. The great tree of life in the map centre with overarching routes keeps you oriented. It helps define biomes and provides a natural path forward. Unlike Breath of the Wild, but more like the older Zeldas, you will need key items to access new areas on the map. In that way, Biomutant is attempting a bit of a mix with these concepts. The game has an open world, but also intentional level design. Open world games can sometimes let the player wander aimlessly a bit too much. Biomutant focuses on clever design to offer direction, focusing your adventure through the world rather than being completely open. Items like a gas mask for toxic regions, thermally resistant clothes for the Arctic tundra, and oxygen tanks for underwater exploration, all function as barriers that are overcome by progressing through goals and the main narrative. That said, the entire map isn't the largest at 16 square kilometers. It's quite smaller than Breath of the Wild at 84 and much smaller than, say, Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 256 square kilometers. Some players find sheer scale helps their immersion in a world, but bigger isn't always better. Often these gargantuan maps are cluttered with things like dead space, artificial time wasters, and limited traversal to make an already long game that much longer. Biomutant is densely packed. Every objective completed or boss defeated impacts the state of the world. Hopefully that means we don't have to experience the grinding slog or time wasted that's sometimes present in these titles that are a little bit too big for their own good. There's no doubt that Breath of the Wild is a beloved title and its inspiration is felt everywhere in Biomutant, but Link's combat still boils down to slash, slash. Yeah. Oh no, my weapon's broke again. In Zelda, that works because the complexity comes from finding gear and not the combat mechanics. Biomutant is taking that a step further, attempting to deliver depth of gear and have a refined combat system similar to the Arkham or Devil May Cry series. If you were ever playing Breath of the Wild and wished you could do a flying mid-air attack combo like Dante from Devil May Cry, the Biomutant devs have you covered. Sometimes in Breath of the Wild, you may have felt it better to go off exploring and try and avoid combat wherever possible and instead opt for a more creative means of taking out enemies when the time comes. But Biomutant seems to want you to enjoy the combat, not just dodge it. As well as up-close comic book level encounters complete with sound effect text bubbles, Biomutant also boasts some intense range battles. Gunplay variety allows you to snipe from a distance or lock on and circle strafe like the Ratchet & Clank series to take down massive bosses. Okay, sounds like a lot of comparisons already, right? Well, it doesn't end there. To bind those systems together is the root of what makes Biomutant so exciting, its RPG mechanics. To start off, the character creator lets you choose your own mutant fuzzball from 6 individual DNA strands. These strands represent the major factions of the game. You can choose one DNA strand or mix and match to alter how your character looks, as well as its starting stats. Passive skills are inspired by the DNA, which can mutate as the game progresses, and active skills are determined by classes or found upgrades in the world. Just as with its freedom in open world design, there's a ton of freedom in leveling too. As you progress, your character not only mutates, but discovers bionic augmentations. Your furry little creature will change aesthetically throughout the game and develop new passive and active skills. These progressions earned through leveling or discovered in loot fundamentally change playstyles and keep a long haul through the open world infinitely more interesting. Some of these mutations and bionic skills even impact how you traverse the map. You'll find anything from gliders, mounts and hot air balloons to massive mechs. Massive being a relative term considering toothbrushes are a melee weapon, but yeah, there's mechs too. So, post-apocalyptic, open world, action RPG with mechs, dogs, cats and mass hysteria. That's a good time! What's unequivocally clear is that Biomutant is jam-packed with ideas. It's like they took a look in their fridge and just made a casserole out of literally everything they could find, which, you know, could be amazing. That being said, we want to be optimistic about the game, but with so many ideas, some are bound to be a bit more fleshed out than others. Experiment 101, the dev team behind Biomutant, got their open world experience from the Just Cause series and Mad Max. But with little over 20 employees, Biomutant's multiple systems and ambitious scope is a massive undertaking. As an example, the game game is claimed to have survival mechanics, but it also has superpowered bionic mutations and Devil May Cry combat. Those themes do not work well together. They might even be mutually exclusive. If you can lift monsters off the ground with gravity-defying kung fu, or roll around in a giant water blob as a superpower, it's gonna be hard to imagine you need to manage your food and water levels too. Survival games typically build tension through combat being costly and rare, whereas if action is what makes Biomutant so great, it may be better for the game just to focus on that. Nothing breaks immersion like your superpowered hamster getting a little bit peckish during the heat of a battle. The game also claims to have a full crafting system. There are images of ranged and melee weapons combined from loot to offer, as a quote from the creative director, millions of weapon options. There are two problems with that. The first off is combining loot items isn't necessarily a crafting system. Minecraft has a crafting system. Adding damage mods to a weapon or changing the aesthetic but not their function isn't necessarily deep crafting. Which brings up the second problem. The original Borderlands tried to market itself with 87 bazillion guns. In reality, it had about 12 with different coats of paint and higher damage. The sequels improved that, but Biomutant might fall victim to the same overhyped promise. These examples aren't expressing that Biomutant won't have those features it's promoting. The devs just might take shortcuts so they can say they have those features. The best example of big claims and potential shortcuts come from its story. Biomutant is said to have a branching narrative. Your choices will impact the world, there's a karma system, companions will have close relationships, and offer multiple endings. It's been claimed before, and we've been disappointed before. Which colour did you choose for the Mass Effect ending? We may want to temper expectations for what that will mean here. The characters speak gibberish instead of actual dialogue, with the narrator handling the major exposition. Biomutant might actually have a branching narrative, but perhaps not at the scale of larger games. After all, it is still an action-adventure title and not a story-driven RPG. Whatever Biomutant turns out to be, it's an extremely ambitious game. It's clear that it wants to fix the combat systems that Breath of the Wild was lacking, but not fall victim to the lack of creativity that Ubisoft's knockoff Immortals Phoenix Rising did. The only thing holding Biomutant back is overpromising on mechanics that can cause players to be overly critical when it comes out. Clearly, the game isn't as overhyped as No Man's Sky or Fable, but fan expectations can make or break a game at release. Of course, the team wants to give their fuzzy post-apocalyptic kung fu story the widest and most appealing market, but the game and all its vibrant creativity seems fully prepared to speak for itself. Biomutant's unique style already helps it stand out. If it can nail the core foundation of its open world design and kung fu combat, all those extra systems will feel like bonuses to a complete experience, rather than feeling like undeveloped add-ons to something unfinished. But what do you guys think? Are you looking forward to Biomutant? Let us know down below in the comments. I'm really intrigued about this one, and I actually just love the devs' sheer audacity of trying to fit so many things in one game. It's like one of the design team was like, how many mechanics do you want? And the creative lead was just like, yes. So I'm really looking forward to trying it out. But anyway, if you're interested in more gaming news or upcoming titles to keep an eye out for, please consider giving us a little subscribe. And if you like the video, give it a like. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.